You're listening to the CyberWire Network, powered by N2K.
Hey everybody, Dave here. Have you ever wondered where your personal information is lurking online? Like many of you, I was concerned about my data being sold by data brokers. So I decided to try Delete Me. I have to say, Delete Me is a game changer. Within days of signing up, they started removing my personal information from hundreds of data brokers. I finally have peace of mind knowing my data privacy is protected. Delete Me's team does all the work for you with detailed reports, so you know exactly what's been done. Take control of your data and keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me. Now at a special discount for our listeners. Today, get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/N2K and use promo code N2K at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is to go to joindeleteme.com/N2K and enter code N2K at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/N2K, code N2K. Federal agencies become battlegrounds in an unprecedented power struggle. XE Group evolves from credit card skimming to exploiting 0 days. WhatsApp uncovers a zero-click spyware attack linked to an Israeli firm. Texas expands its ban on Chinese-backed AI and social media apps. Data breaches expose the personal and medical information of over 1 million people. NVIDIA patches multiple critical vulnerabilities. ARM discloses critical vulnerabilities affecting its Mali GPU kernel drivers and firmware. The UK government aims to set the global standard for securing AI. Tim Starks from Cyberscoop has the latest from Senate confirmation hearings. And the National Cryptologic Museum rights a wrong. It's Monday, February 3rd, 2025. I'm Dave Bittner, and this is your CyberWire Intel Briefing. Thank you all for joining us here today. Great to have you with us, as always. This past weekend, chaos erupted within federal agencies as Elon Musk's task force moved swiftly to seize control of critical government operations. The U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, is facing deep uncertainty as President Trump continues his push to slash foreign aid and restructure federal agencies. The agency's independence is at risk, and sweeping layoffs are expected. Two top security officials, John Voorhees and Brian McGill, were placed on administrative leave after denying access to representatives from Elon Musk's team, who sought entry into classified systems. USAID's chief of staff, Matt Hobson, has also resigned. Musk, appointed to lead a controversial government restructuring initiative, has publicly criticized USAID, calling it a criminal organization and pushing for its shutdown. His influence extends to the Office of Personnel Management, where his appointees have locked out career civil servants from critical personnel databases containing sensitive government employee data. Federal workers have raised cybersecurity concerns, noting that Musk's team now controls systems without oversight. The situation has sparked protests outside OPM, where government employees accuse Musk's team of orchestrating a hostile takeover. Meanwhile, an unsecured email system at OPM led to a massive spam attack targeting federal employees, highlighting the vulnerabilities of the rushed transition. Amid the turmoil, Musk's self-named Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, is overseeing a dramatic downsizing of the federal workforce, offering employees buyouts to resign. Agencies like CISA have been excluded from these offers, raising further concerns about the restructuring's national security implications. The events reflect a broader shift in Trump's second-term governance, with Musk playing a central role in reshaping federal institutions. XE Group, a cybercriminal organization active for over a decade, has evolved from credit card skimming to exploiting zero-day vulnerabilities, posing significant threats to global supply chains. Originally known for targeting e-commerce platforms, the group has shifted to infiltrating manufacturing and distribution sectors. By 2024, XE Group exploited two vulnerabilities in VeraCore, a supply chain management software, using an upload validation flaw and an SQL injection vulnerability to exfiltrate data and maintain persistent access. The group demonstrated patience, reactivating a web shell planted in 2020. Using customized web shells and PowerShell-based payloads, XE Group has automated its attacks, focusing on long-term infiltration. Researchers believe the group operates from Vietnam but is likely not state-sponsored due to minimal operational security measures. WhatsApp has uncovered a zero-click spyware attack linked to Israeli firm Paragon, targeting nearly 100 journalists, activists, and civil society members worldwide. The spyware required no user interaction, making it especially dangerous. WhatsApp disrupted the attack, alerted affected users, and collaborated with Citizen Lab, which helped analyze the breach. Victims, including Italian journalist Francesco Consolato, are investigating the extent of data exposure. The spyware could access messages, activate microphones, and steal passwords, raising major privacy concerns. Paragon, which markets itself as an ethical alternative to NSO Group, had been seeking entry into the U.S. market. However, recent scrutiny and national security concerns have paused key contracts. This incident underscores the urgent need for stronger regulations on commercial spyware and government surveillance tools. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has expanded the state's ban on Chinese-backed AI and social media apps, prohibiting 6 additional platforms, including DeepSeek, Lemon 8, and RedNote, on government-issued devices. The order aims to prevent data harvesting and potential espionage by the Chinese Communist Party. This follows Abbott's 2022 ban on TikTok and a 2023 law granting him authority to block apps posing security risks. The move comes amid heightened concerns over Chinese technology influence, especially as platforms like RedNote gain popularity among U.S. users. 3 separate data breaches have exposed the personal and medical information of over 1 million people. Asheville Eye Associates in North Carolina confirmed a cyber attack affecting over 193,000 patients. Stolen data includes medical treatment details and insurance information, but not Social Security or financial data. The Dragon Force ransomware group claimed responsibility last December. Delta County Memorial Hospital reported a May 2024 breach affecting over 148,000 individuals. Hackers accessed Social Security numbers, medical data, and financial records. Victims will receive free identity theft protection. Globe Life Insurance is notifying 850,000 individuals of a data theft incident linked to an extortion attempt. The compromised data includes insurance policy details and personal identifiers, though the company states no business operations were disrupted. Globe Life is working with regulators and offering credit monitoring services to affected customers. NVIDIA has released critical security updates to patch multiple vulnerabilities in its GPU display driver and virtual GPU software. These flaws, affecting both Windows and Linux platforms, could lead to information disclosure, denial of service, data tampering, or code execution. Key issues include a buffer overflow and a memory corruption flaw in vGPU. Affected products include GeForce, NVIDIA RTX, Quadro, NVS, and Tesla GPUs. NVIDIA urges users to update immediately via the driver downloads page to mitigate security risks. ARM has disclosed critical security vulnerabilities affecting its Mali GPU kernel drivers and firmware, impacting Bifrost, Valhalla, and 5th-gen GPU architectures. One flaw has been actively exploited, allowing local attackers to access freed memory, potentially leading to further system compromise. 9 additional vulnerabilities could cause system crashes, privilege escalation, or data leaks. Affected users, especially those on smartphones and tablets, are urged to immediately update drivers and firmware to mitigate risks. The UK government has introduced a new AI code of practice, aiming to set a global standard for securing AI through the European Telecommunication Standards Institute. Developed with the National Cybersecurity Center and industry stakeholders, the voluntary code outlines 13 principles covering secure AI design, deployment, and maintenance. The code applies to AI vendors and organizations using AI, but excludes vendors selling AI models without deploying them. These will be governed by separate cybersecurity regulations. Key principles include threat modeling, secure infrastructure, software supply chain security, and regular updates. NCSC CTO Ollie Whitehouse emphasized its role in fortifying UK AI security while promoting innovation. The UK aims to lead globally in AI safety, following recent efforts to criminalize deepfake creation. The government hopes this framework will enhance AI resilience and protect digital ecosystems from security threats. Coming up after the break, Tim Starks from Cyberscoop has the latest from the Senate confirmation hearings, and the National Cryptologic Museum rights a wrong. Stay with us.
This episode is brought to you by Nerds Gummy Clusters, the sweet treat that always elevates the vibe. With a sweet gummy surrounded with tangy, crunchy nerds, every bite of Nerds Gummy Clusters brings you a whole new world of flavor. Whether it's game night, on the way to a concert, or kicking back with your crew, unleash your senses with Nerds Gummy Clusters.
Cyber threats are evolving every second, and staying ahead is more than just a challenge, it's a necessity. That's why we're thrilled to partner with ThreatLocker, the cybersecurity solution trusted by businesses worldwide. ThreatLocker is a full suite of solutions designed to give you total control, stopping unauthorized applications, securing sensitive data, and ensuring your organization runs smoothly and securely. Visit threatlocker.com today to see how a default deny approach can keep your company safe and compliant. Do you know the status of your compliance controls right now? Like, right now. We know that real-time visibility is critical for security, but when it comes to our GRC programs, we rely on point-in-time checks. But get this. More than 8,000 companies like Atlassian and Quora have continuous visibility into their controls with Vanta. Here's the gist. Vanta brings automation to evidence collection across 30 frameworks, like SOC 2 and ISO 27001. They also centralize key workflows like policies, access reviews, and reporting, and helps you get security questionnaires done 5 times faster with AI. Now that's a new way to GRC. Get $1,000 off Vanta when you go to vanta.com/cyber. That's vanta.com/cyber for $1,000 off. Joining me once again is Tim Starks. He is a senior reporter at Cyberscoop. Tim, great to have you back.
Wonderful, as always. It's a real high of my week.
Well, I appreciate that. A couple stories that you did over for Cyberscoop that I want to touch on today. Let's start off with your story about Kash Patel, nominee for the FBI, of course, and the degree to which he was questioned about cybersecurity.
Yeah, it was a minor amount, but it was not insignificant, or else we wouldn't have written a story, of course. He's a nominee who has a lot of things that lawmakers were concerned about. Democrats, of course, not Republicans, but there was an interesting thing that happened. We wrote the story, and then CNN published some details that were related to it. Not because of my story, but it was interesting that the way that happened, timing wise. Senator Klobuchar, said, "Hey, look, you're talking about closing down the FBI headquarters. This is the place where, people who run our cybercrime investigations work." And there was a little bit of jousting over that, and she didn't get a real answer to the question, about his previous remarks about having said this, that turning it into a museum of the deep state on day one. There was a couple other things that came up. One was Ross Ulbricht, the pardon of the man who operated the Silk Road marketplace, sold drugs, and he was charged with computer hacking. He was pardoned. They asked Kash Patel, "What do you think of that?" He's like, "Not my place to weigh in on the pardons." And I think probably maybe the most significant policy thing they discussed that was cyber related was his view on Section 702, which of course is the law that is warrantless vacuuming up of communications targeting foreigners. But if you just so happen to have been a U.S. citizen talking to that person, there is a way for the FBI to seek that data about you. And there was a big debate in the last couple of years, you'll recall, and it's actually a pretty long-running one at this point. But before they reauthorized it, there was a big debate: should we add a warrant requirement? Do you need to get a warrant requirement to go in and get information about U.S. citizens?
Right.
And Kash Patel's view was that's not something that's good. That would actually harm investigation. It was a pretty traditional view of the hawkish side of that debate, as opposed to the side of the debate that was really focused on privacy and Fourth Amendment and those kinds of concerns.
Yeah. Tulsi Gabbard also made an appearance in front of the senators here. What came of that?
Yeah, she got asked about a similar thing. She got asked about. My colleague Derek Johnson wrote about the hearing. She got asked about whether Edward Snowden was a traitor, which was something that she didn't seem eager to answer all that directly. She's had some changes on her position on Section 702. That was something that the committee hearing delved into. Obviously, that's something if she's going to be the director of national intelligence, that's going to be something where her agency is going to have a lot of oversight about that kind of activity. And she had once upon a time called this Section 702 an overreach, but she has turned around and said, actually, it's a very quote, direct quote, vital national security tool. And that's something that, depending on where you were at on the debate when it was happening, whether you were happy that she said that or unhappy that she said that.
I want to switch gears and touch on another article that I believe you co-wrote here, and this was about the government falling victim to some cryptojacking.
Very rare when that happens. We did find several instances beforehand of it happening. But the cyber pros we talked to just were like, no, this is something really, really we haven't really heard of. So it's exceedingly rare that the government is crypto-jacked, and it just so happens that USAID was in the fall, and me and my colleague Rebecca over at FedScoop broke this story and explained, it cost the agency $500,000 to deal with this.
Wow.
Basically, the cryptojackers just come in, they use up your electricity to mine crypto, and then they leave. And that seems to be what has happened here. I think I was looking at the numbers to get a sense of what is $500,000 to USAID. It may not sound like that much money if you're talking about a multi-billion-dollar agency, but that is the amount equivalent to how much they spent in 2023 on notifying children of tuberculosis. So we're talking about real money that could make a difference, and that essentially was lost as a result of this hacking. And it could have been worse because these cryptojackers, cryptojacking is a real threat, but it's a lower level threat than, say, ransomware.
Right.
There's not just monetary damage; there could be other damage as well. So these hackers could have used this access to do something much worse than they actually did, and what they did was pretty bad already.
Yeah, I have to say, I was sort of scratching my head over this one as to whether or not, cryptojacking the federal government is poking the bear.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that I can't remember if we included this in the story, but certainly one of the things that I talked about people is why would you do this? Like, why would you cryptojack the federal government? There's so many people you could target, and they do target they target the private sector. The private sector loses tens of millions of dollars to this every year, according to people he's talked to. So there's a chance that they just didn't know who they were targeting, that they just were, searching the web for vulnerable targets and found USAID. The other thing, though, is that, and this is the part that I started to say, this is a relatively low amount of money, such that this isn't going to be like killing a pipeline where the federal government is suddenly going to be coming for you because you shut down, Eastern Seaboard's. You didn't really shut it down, but it caused a panic,
right?
And suddenly people are having trouble buying gasoline. So it's a relatively low enough amount of money that it probably wasn't going to. It's low risk and it's low reward, but it did strike us as very odd, because why would you want to? Why a federal agency? And we didn't entirely get to the bottom of it, but it's entirely possible that they just didn't know who they were going at. They eventually figured it out. They would have had to have known something about who they were cryptojacking, after they started doing it. But when they found them, this may have just been very much a target of opportunity.
Did you get any response from any of the agencies involved here as to either how this happened or what they plan to do in the future to prevent it?
No, we did not get that response. I would have loved at least we were hit by a sophisticated attack. You always want that one.
Right. At this point, it's a given.
The good news is that we didn't need them to say that much about it, because of the internal documents we had, where they said, we've seen this, we've responded, we're implementing these additional defenses. Multi-factor authentication is key for this kind of thing. So we know how they responded, or were going to respond. What we don't know is how much of what they said they were going to do they actually ended up doing. I mean, we're talking about something that happened in November. It's possible that they haven't finished implementing all the defenses that they talked about doing. So that's the one thing that would have been nice to hear from them on. All jokes aside about the sophisticated campaign, it would have been nice to know if they have fixed these things, instead of just, here's what we say we're going to fix. That would have been something that would have been nice to know for the story, frankly. And CISA, which it would certainly have been involved in some way, shape, or form in evaluating what happened here, did not comment. They referred us back to USAID, and USAID didn't want to say anything more. So that's where we were left.
Yeah. All right. Well, Tim Starks is senior reporter at CyberScoop. Tim, thanks so much for taking the time for us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And now, a message from our sponsor, Zscaler, the leader in cloud security. Enterprises have spent billions of dollars on firewalls and VPNs, yet breaches continue to rise by an 18% year-over-year increase in ransomware attacks and a $75 million record payout in 2024. These traditional security tools expand your attack surface with public-facing IPs that are exploited by bad actors more easily than ever with AI tools. It's time to rethink your security. Zscaler Zero Trust plus AI stops attackers by hiding your attack surface, making apps and IPs invisible, eliminating lateral movement, connecting users only to specific apps, not the entire network, continuously verifying every request based on identity and context, simplifying security management with AI-powered automation, and detecting threats using AI to analyze over 500 billion daily transactions. Hackers can't attack what they can't see. Protect your organization with Zscaler Zero Trust and AI. Learn more at zscaler.com/security.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
And finally, in a recent Blue Sky post, Larry Pfeiffer, former CIA chief of staff and current director of the Hayden Center, highlighted a concerning action taken in response to President Trump's anti-diversity directive. He noted that at the National Cryptologic Museum at NSA, images of notable figures such as Elizabeth Friedman and Anne Cara-Christie from the Women in American Cryptology Hall of Honor, as well as Wash Wong and Ralph Adams from the People of Color in Cryptologic History honorees, were covered over with brown paper. This act has sparked discussions about the implications of the administration's stance on diversity and its impact on recognizing the contributions of marginalized groups in national security history. The museum responded to an inquiry from Mr. Pfeiffer, stating, "We are dedicated to presenting the public with historically accurate exhibits, and we have corrected a mistake that covered an exhibit. We look forward to visitors exploring the museum and its rich history." The decision to obscure the images of trailblazing cryptologists at the museum, whether intentional or out of misplaced caution, reflects the deep fear and uncertainty gripping government employees under the Trump administration's crackdown on diversity initiatives. This act, seemingly preemptive, underscores how agencies are scrambling to avoid political backlash, even at the cost of erasing historical contributions. It's a troubling sign of how policies rooted in ideology rather than merit can lead to self-censorship and a chilling effect on truthful storytelling in public institutions. And that's the CyberWire. We'd love to know what you think of this podcast. Your feedback ensures we deliver the insights that keep you a step ahead in the rapidly changing world of cybersecurity. If you like our show, please share a rating and review in your favorite podcast app. Please also fill out the survey in the show notes or send an email to cyberwire@n2k.com. N2K's senior producer is Alice Carruth. Our CyberWire producer is Liz Stokes. We're mixed by Elliot Peltzman and Trey Hester. Our executive producer is Jennifer Iben. Peter Kilpie is our publisher, and I'm Dave Bittner. Thanks for listening. We'll see you back here tomorrow.